Okay, good to work, everyone. As we warmly welcome everybody, we are sponsored in our travels through Bava Basra by A.B. Spry for Nachas, from children, grandchildren, the entire family, by Shalom Fogli and Lishmas, Rabbi Yaakov Zeb and Rabbi Aryeh, Rivka Bas Rabbi Yaakov Yosef, Tziv Yamirim Bas Rabbi Gad and Rabbi Yosef ben Zion ben Rabbi Yaakov Zeb, by Baruch Ian Lila Nishmas Yaakov Chaim ben Abba Esther Bas Gittel Abram ben Shmuel HaKaim by Yaakov Yumansky, with Akar Satov to the Rav and the Zoom family and Nachas from children and grandchildren, by Ed Saleh from London and Joshua Rosenberg of Virtual Talmud. We also have very, very sad news to share with the Olam this evening. With deep regret, we inform you of the passing of Abe Arbach's father. Abe Arbach's father is alumni of the Yeshiva Staten Island, who I knew very well when I was going to Yeshiva, Reb David Arbach. David passed away, and his levaya is tomorrow in the Yeshiva of Staten Island at 12 p.m. at noon in the Yeshiva of Staten Island. His name is David Ben Chaim. They dropped the referral, so his name is David Ben Chaim. He was a wonderful person, a Ben Yeshiva all of his life. He was in Yeshiva of Staten Island from the 1960s. I took my entrance exam in the Yeshiva at 1969. I think he was there 3 years before that, and he never left. He was a Ben Yeshiva all of his life. He leaves a young wife and family. He should be a Melitz Yosher, and his neshama should have a great aliyah.
Last time when his son was about first.
Yes. Okay, the item is just, I see, rolling in now as we welcome Saba, who is with us, A.B. Spry, Dr. Block, Nachman Chapler, Ben Zion Cohn. I'm not sure who that is. That's Reb Yumansky, I think. Yisrael Fisher, Michal, Mel Zachter, Irving Fishbaum, Aaron Swade, and we have Michael Avram. Anybody else with you, Michael? No, not yet. He's there holding the fort at Agudas Yisrael of Fairways. Stephen Holtzman, Dr. Guy, Rabbi Kranz, Chaim Braun, Yitzi Fuchs, Shelley Zeitlin, and we begin on this Motzi Shabbos Nachmu, a happy time for Klal Yisrael. David Helfgott has just joined us on Kol HaLashon. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol niyeh b'dvaro. So we're holding by the two dots on the bottom of Daf Nun Aleph from the base. Tana Rabbanan. Ein mekablim pikdonos. You can't accept a deposit. Lo min anoshim, not from women. V'lo min avodim, not from evet kananim. V'lo min atinokis, not from children. Now the reason is because there is a suspicion that the wife took it unlawfully from her husband, or the evet took it unlawfully from the owners, and the children took it unlawfully from where they were. And by taking it, you're possibly Messiah Yedei Oivei Aveira. You're assisting those that have done a sin, which you're not allowed to do. If you took it, however, what happens if you did take it? Kibel min ha'isha, if you took it from the woman, then Yazal Isha, when she asks for it to you back, you return it to her. V'maisa, if she dies, Yazal Baleh, you turn it to her husband. Kibel min ha'eved, if you took it from a servant, so then Yazal Eved, you return to the Eved, because we say that it's very possible that the Eved got it from somebody al Menashe Ein l'rabbi reshuspa, so you return it to the Eved. V'immeis, if he dies, yalza l'rabbi, you return it to the master. Kibel min hakotten, as we start the top of Nun Beis Amud Aleph, kibel min hakotten, if you took from the child, yasaloi skula, you don't return it to the child because the child cannot protect it. Rather, you make an investment for him. We'll see how you invest it. V'immeis, and if the child dies, yalza l'yorsha. Now, the kulan, in all of these cases, if the woman is dying, or the Eved is dying, or the child is dying, the kulan she'amru b'shas misasan, if they say at the time of their death, shall ploinihei, return it to so-and-so. In other words, it's not the husband's, it's not the master's, it's not the one where the child is living by, but rather return it to someone else, then, and Rabbi Chanan Hashem Yinkum Damai says that this means that this is a child that reached the age of Pu'utais, he's 6 or 7. So if he says that they belong to so-and-so, then Yasa Kiperushin. However, the Imlav, if that what they're saying is not credible, then Yasa Pirush Lepirushin. Then you should make your own explanation, and by the wife return it to her husband, by the Eved return it to the master, and the child return it to the child's Yarshim. Now the Gemara gives us an example about this. The Bisayu, the Rabba Babachana, the wife of Rabba Babachana, Kika Shachva, as she was dying, she had some earrings in her possession. So Amra, she said, Hani Kipe, these earrings, de Marta belongs to Marta. Here Marta is a man's name. De Marta Bnei Brata, and the granddaughters. So also the Kami de Rav, so Rabba Babachana came to Rav and said, what should he do with the earrings? It's his wife. What does he do with it? Amalei, so he said, Imehemna lach, if it's credible, Asay Keperusha, and give it to Marta. V'ilai, if it's not credible, then Asay Perish L'Perusha, and you could take it yourself. V'ikid Amrei, others say, Hachi Amrelei. This is what Rav told him. I amidalach, if you assess that Marta was wealthy to have such precious earrings, Asay Keperusha, do what she said. V'ilai, and if not, Asay Perish L'Perusha, and you could take it for yourself. Now the Gemara says, Minakotten, if you're going to return it to the child, since the child is not a bar hachi to protect it, so instead of giving it to the child, Yasaloi skuli, you should invest it. Now this is a safe investment with the money, not in business, as the Rishonim say, because the Karen, the principal, could get lost. So rather, my segula, what's the investment? Rav Chistam a Sefer Torah, buy a Sefer Torah, so in the process now the children could learn from the Sefer Torah, but the principal is protected. While it's the opinion of Rabbi Babachana Imrei, Dikla, buy for them a date palm, that they'll have the principal, and in the meantime, the achal minei tamre, they could eat the dates from it. Now the Mishnah continues, V'loila of benichsei aben, a father does not have a chazaka in the property of the son, even though he had it for 3 years and the son didn't protest. V'loila ben benichsei ab, nor does the son have a chazaka in the property of the father, being we assume that it's no proof that they bought it, because a son is not going to protest the occupancy of a father, and a father is not going to protest the occupancy of a son. The question is this only a son that's being supported by the father, or even a son that is already living on his own? So Amar Rav Yosef, Rav Yosef says the latter. Afilu choltu, even if they have already separated, and the son is living alone, still the son won't protest the occupation of the father won't protest the occupation of the son. However, Rava Amar Chol Koiloi, it doesn't refer to a case where they separated. If they're already separated, then there can be a chazaka. And as we're going to see, that is the halacha. As the Gemara tells us, Amar Rav Yirmiyah Medifti, Ovid Rapapi Uvda Cholkoiloi, that if they separated, then the father could have a chazaka in the possession of his son, the son could have a chazaka in the possession of the father. Karava, like the opinion of Rav. And indeed, Amr Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, Ishtoyli Rav Chia Mehormiz Ardashir, Rav Chia from Mehormiz Ardashir, the Ishtoyle, who was told by Rav Acha bar Yaakov, Mishmei de Rav Nachman bar Yaakov, by Rav Acha bar Yaakov in the name of the great Rav Nachman bar Yaakov, Chol Koiloi, if they divided, it's not true. If they divided, then a son could have the chazaka in the property of his father, and vice versa. The hilchasa, indeed, that's the halacha, chol koiloi, that this does not imply where they already, the son is not living with his father. And Tanya Nami Hachi, we learned likewise in a brisa, ben shechalak, a son that has already not living with his father, v'ishtoi sheniskash, or a wife that gets divorced, harihen kishar kol, they're like everybody else, that occupancy would be a raya after 3 years. Okay, just getting underway on this beautiful Motzi Shabbos Nachamu, as people are turning in over here, as we welcome in Bruce Eisenberg. Bruce, it's good to see you. We've been missing you. You know, you have to come more often, not less often.
I was here last Motzei Shabbos.
Okay, but you know, we renamed this shir Kinyan Masechta, so you could come.
All the time.
Yeah, you could come. We named it Kinyan Masechta. It is a Kinyan Masechta shir. Just we're kind of in a Masechta a little quicker. That's all. Ilya Shutman has joined us, and Dr. Guy, and Chaim Braun, as we're beginning to. The Olam is beginning to come around over here. And for those that have just joined us, we are holding by the 2 dots 8 lines from the bottom of Daf Nun Beis Amud Aleph. Daf Nun Beis, we're already at Daf 52. You know, we didn't start Bava Basra that long ago. By the way, as Irving usually warns us, we are coming up to the 2nd volume. If you use an art scroll this week, you're going to need, I think, well, it changes over at Daf Samach. Okay, so I think we just make this week. But we will change over. We will be finishing Cheskes Abatim. What an accomplishment. As we say, a good tavach to Avram Rezepkowitz, who's joining us.
Excuse me, Rabbi Weiss, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm heading to the airport. I'm going home to Israel tonight.
Oh, that's very nice, Eddie. I'm glad you're going home. You know, we always miss you, but we're glad you're going home. I know what happens. You go home. If I abuse you enough, you decide you have to go home. I know.
No, I didn't get to that point yet. I'm going to miss you guys.
Yeah. All right. Listen. You know something? Your place is home. So, but even when you're home, you still listen to us, right?
Of course.
Okay.
Every morning.
Okay, Baruch Hashem. So we wish Eddie a safe journey back to Eretz Yisrael, and of course great safety over there. We are holding, as I said, as we welcome in Chaim. That might be Chaim Kramer. I'm not sure, but it might be Chaim Kramer. We're already holding by 26 Zoomers as the Olam is arriving slowly. Itmar. Echad min ha'achim. Let's say there's 3 brothers, Reuven and Shimon and Levi. One of the brothers, he's like the taking care of the affairs of the state. Itmar. Echad min ha'achim she'yanoisei v'noisin b'seich habayis. He was taking affairs of the matters of the household. There were promissory documents or deeds of sale that carried his personal name. It said Reuven. Now, he said, no, this isn't money from the estate. Now, the Rishonim say it's talking about a situation where he didn't have any job. So the idea that he had money to buy property of his own or money to give out as a loan is not so believable. However, he says that he had an independent Yerusha. You see, Reuven had a different mother, the same father, but a different mother. And he said, Shalihaim, the funds that have my name on the shtar, is money shenaflu li mibeis avi ima. That came from my maternal grandfather. In other words, from my mother's side. So Amar Rav says, since he was doing business for the estate, he was representing the estate, Olav Levi Rai, he has to prove that it's not the money from the estate. Shmuel says to the contrary. Allah Achen, it's on Shimon and Levi, L'havi Raya, that it's money from this estate. Amar Shmuel says, Umaydali Abba. Rav, which Rav's proper name was Abba Aricha, and only somebody like Shmuel called Rav by his proper name, Moidali Abba, Shemeis, if he dies, so then it shifts, because we have a klal, Toyanin Liyasme. We make a claim for the orphans. So even though Rav says that it's on Reuven to bring proof that it was from his maternal grandfather, however, if he dies, then the responsibility shifts, and it's ala ochin lahavi raya. Then it's on the brothers to bring proof that it was the money of the estate. So, Rav Papa, this doesn't sit well with Rav Papa. Maskva Rav Papa, klum tanina luhu liyasme. Would we make a claim for the orphans midei loitan luhu avuan? Something that the father would not be able to claim? In other words, the father, according to Rav, has to bring proof. Reuven would have to bring proof that it's from his maternal grandmother. And now, without any more information, we would say that the orphans are stronger than the father? There was a case that orphans had a expensive pair of cloak scissors, or an expensive Ayin Yaakov Agarita, an hard skull Ayin Yaakov, and these orphans had Dr. Block's Ayin Yaakov, or expensive set of scissors for cloaks. And this is something that people lend out. So the fact that the orphans had possession of it is no proof that it's theirs, because this is something that people borrow. People borrow Ayin Yaakov. They borrow scissors. And the din is that even though Dr. Block didn't have any proof, but still, Rabbi Apik, he took away from the Yisayimim Zuga de Sarbala, a set of cloak scissors, and Safra de Agarita, and a Sefer of Agatim Yasme, Beloy Raya. Even though Dr. Block didn't have any specific truth, Bidvar Ma'asiyim Lahashal Lahasker, because it's something that is usually either lent out or rented, and therefore it's no Raya, the fact that the Yisayimim have it. You see, we don't, if the father would have it, we would take it away from the father. So the fact that it's the Yisayimim, we don't tie enough for the Yisayimim. Things that are usually loaned, given out as a loan or rented, and they say it's bought, it's not a good chazak, and they're not believed. So you see, we don't kind of extra for Yisayimim. So the Gemara says, Kasha, this is indeed Rav Papa's Kasha on what Shmuel says that Rav would be Maida is a very good Kasha. Okay, as we are proceeding over here, 3 lines from the top of Nun Beis Amud Beis getting underway over here on a joyous Motzei Shabbos Nachamu. And delighted to be joined by all of you. So the Gemara tells us now, Rav Chisda, the only time that it's the opinion of Shmuel that, it's the opinion of Rav, that it's upon Reuven to bring a proof that he got it from his maternal grandmother is loy shanu ela de ein chalukin bi'isasan. That's only if the estate was totally shared and they didn't get separate funds even for their immediate needs, even for their food expenditures. Aval chalukin bi'isasan, if they got funds for their food expenditures, there ema meisasa kaimitz. We say that Reuven could say, you know how I got the money? I know I'm not working, but I scrimped and saved and didn't spend so much money on food. Now, even though that wasn't his claim is that he inherited from his maternal grandfather, but Taisus says he has a migu, that he could have said that he scrimped and saved and it was from his own funds. So because he could have said that, he's believed to say that he got it from his maternal grandfather. Now we said that in a normal case, Rav says that Reuven would have to bring a proof. So what kind of proof? Raya b'mai. So here we have a machloikis between Rabba and Rav Sheshes. Rabba amar Raya b'edim. He has to bring witnesses that he inherited from his maternal grandfather. Rav Sheshes amar Raya b'kiyam ashtar. It's enough that the shtar that he has, the promissory note or the deed of sale, should be authenticated in Bezdin. He should get a handpick from Bezdin, because we assume if Bezdin gives him a handpick and authenticates it, that they will check and see where the funds came from. So now we have two machloikesim, like Rav, that it's upon Reuven to bring the proof, Shmuel that says upon the brothers to bring a proof, and then whether it's you need Adam according to Rav, or it's enough an ashrata, a hempik. So Amalei Rav Rav Nachman. So Rav said to Rav Nachman, "Ha Rav, ha Shmuel." We have machlokes Rav and Shmuel. Ha Rav of Rav Sheshes. Mar command svirulei. Who do you hold like? Amalei. So he says, "Look, I know masnisi yadana. I know a brisa. I could just tell you that I know a brisa." Outside under the picture, I know masnisi yadana. I know a brisa. The Tanya echad mina achin. One of the brothers, that he was taking care of the affairs of the estate, and there were either deeds of sale or loan documents in his name. And he says, I wasn't representing the estate, rather these are my personal loans or personal purchases, which shenofluli mebeis avi abba, that fell for me funds, even though he doesn't have a job, fell from my maternal grandfather. Olav lahavi raya. So we see that the halach is like Rav, that the burden of proof is upon him. The Gemara does not say what the burden of proof is if the halach is like Rabba or Rav Sheshes. And then the Brisa adds another case. V'cheino isha, not only if it was a son that took care of the estate, v'cheino isha, also a woman. She was taking care of the affairs of the home. And there were either sale documents or promissory notes with her name. And she said, it's my funds, it's not the funds of the communal estate. That fell from either my paternal grandfather or my maternal grandfather. It's upon her to bring the proof. So the question is, what's the bigger chiddush by a woman? So my v'chein, what's the extra chiddush? Says the Gemara, Mao the same. I might have thought. Mao the same. I might have thought. Isha, a woman, came on the shvicha la milsa. It's a very big praise that she takes care of the orphans. The imre that people say katorcha kama yasme, she's taking care of the orphans. So because she gets such accolades, loy gazam yasle, we say that we don't suspect her of stealing from the orphans. Kamash malan, even so, it's upon her to bring the raya. And now we continue with the explanation of the Mishnah. The Mishnah moves from the chazaka of 3 years to the Kinyan chazaka. When we're talking about chazaka. Aval b'noisei matana, but giving a gift, v'achin shecholku, and brothers that divide, and acquiring nichse ager, and then it talks about the kinyan chazak. So the lashon of the Mishnah is a little tricky. It's a little misleading. It sounds like that somebody that's acquiring a gift, or brothers that are dividing an estate, or somebody that acquires the nichse ager cannot use a chazaka. So atu kolhani damrinon lab b'nei chazaka. No, they can't make a chazaka. Says no. Chisurei mechzer. There's something missing over here. V'achi kitani. And this is what it should say. Bad medva mamurim. When we were talking about the chazaka sheyeshi matayna, we're talking. When do we need 3 years? With a chazaka that has a claim. All right. I don't have a shtar, and I'm claiming that I bought the property. So I need to have a chazaka of 3 years. The seller says I didn't sell it. And the buyer says I bought it, and he doesn't have a shtar. So if he has 3 years where the seller didn't protest, so he has a kinyan chazaka. But a chazaka which is not confronting a claim, but rather the kinyan chazaka, somebody is receiving a gift and he wants to make a chazak on the gift, or people that divide an estate and the brothers want to make a kinyan on their portion of the estate, or somebody that takes possession of the property of a ger who doesn't have any relatives, that's up for grabs. The lemiknei ba'almahu, it's to make an acquisition. How do we make a chazaka? No, if he closes up the area, secures the area, Gadar, he puts up a fence, Paratz Kosher, he makes an entrance. Harizu Chazaka, that's a good kinyan. Now, Tani Rav Yishia b'Kiddushin debei Levi. Rav Yishia taught in the collection of brises of Masechtas Kiddushin in the Academy of Levi. Nol Gadar Paratz Kosher b'fanav. If he either closes the property, fences the property, makes an opening to the property in the presence of the previous owner, harizu chazaka. So the Gemara says, b'fanav in, shaloi b'fanav lai, only if it's in the presence of the owner, but not if it's not in his presence. But isn't it a good kinyan even if it's not in his presence? Amar Rava, so Rava clarifies. Hachi kama. B'fanav, if it's in his presence, in other words, let's say Dr. Block is acquiring something from Nachman. If it's in Nachman's presence and he either locks the property or makes a fence, Loit Sarach Lameimer Le, Nachman doesn't have to tell him, Leich Chazak Uknei. Go take possession and acquire it. If, however, Shaloi B'fanav, if it's not in Nachman's presence, then Sarach Lameimer Le Leich Chazak Uknei. Then Nachman has to tell him, go take possession and acquire it. We're just going to pause a minute now to change the channel.